They're dropping like flies, gang. This weekend, yet another sitting U.S. senator who voted to convict President Trump in his second sham impeachment trial just made history, but not in the way anyone would ever want to. This weekend, we witnessed a new iron law of politics, a Trumpian law that's crushing establishment Republicans and sending shockwaves throughout the GOP. Voters across the country are sending a message so loud, so clear, so unmistakable that every single Republican in Washington, D.C. heard it rattle the walls. The era of stabbing Donald Trump in the back and walking away unscathed is officially over. Stick with me to the very end of this video because we're going to break down exactly what happened, exactly why it matters, and exactly who right now should be absolutely terrified. Hey gang, it's me and Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, every day, the legacy media decides what you're allowed to think about. I created my Patriot Alerts to change that. It's my free daily newsletter where I give you the real story behind the headlines, where globalism is collapsing, where Christian civilization is rising, and what it means for your family right now. No spin, no agenda, just the truth. Scan the QR code on your screen and subscribe to Patriot Alerts for free today. All right, let's dive right in here. Let's start with the raw, brutal, beautiful facts of what happened on Saturday in the great state of Louisiana. In the Republican Senate primary, the ultra-repulsive, backstabbing rhino, the two-term United States Senator Bill Cassidy, who shamelessly voted to convict President Trump in his sham impeachment trial, got crushed. And I mean crushed. He was utterly humiliated. Trump-endorsed Congresswoman Julia Letlow steamrolled the field with a stunning 45% of the vote. State Treasurer John Fleming came in second with 28%, and Bill Cassidy finished a humiliating third with just 24%. It was actually a historic loss since the direct popular election of senators began back in 1914. A senator coming in third or worse in his primary has only happened a grand total of 13 times. In fact, the last time that happened was 1962, 64 years ago. Bill Cassidy just broke a 64-year streak. That is not a defeat. It was a political extinction event, an extinction for rhinos, Republicans in name only. Now, in case you need reminding, this all goes back to February 13, 2021. Donald Trump has just been acquitted in his second impeachment trial, even though he wasn't even in office. Remember that. Trump was the first president to be impeached while out of office. Again, this trial was such an obvious sham that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, who's supposed to preside over the proceedings, refused to participate. The Democrats actually had to get a substitute judge to preside over the proceedings. But that obvious sham didn't matter to 7 turncoat betraying Republican senators who crossed the aisle and voted with the Democrats and actually tried to convict President Trump. And one of those 7 was none other than Bill Cassidy of Louisiana.
People want to trust. They want to trust their leaders. They want people to be held accountable. Now, I'm attempting to hold President Trump accountable. And that is the trust I have from the people that elected me. And I am very confident that as time passes, people will move to that position.
So you think you'll eventually represent a majority view in Louisiana?
You know, number one, I think I may already represent a majority view.
Do you think he can run a credible campaign for president again? Will he remain a force in the Republican Party? What does that mean for the Republican Party?
I think as force wanes, the Republican Party is more than just one person.
Well, fast forward to this past weekend, and here's how Cassidy attempted to answer a very simple, obvious question.
You and I got to serve in the Congress for a little while, but my question for you is still about Donald Trump. I mean, knowing what you know now about the farce that was put forward to the American people and the Congress, knowing what you know now, would you still vote to actually convict Donald Trump of the charges that he was put up for?
Reporters always love to ask that question. I'm a doctor. You give me all the information I can, I make a decision, I move on. I don't keep on going back, oh, what happened 5 years ago? I'm thinking about what's going to happen 5 years from now.
Senator, with all due respect, you just talked about the stuff you've done for the last 5 years. You just touted everything you've done for the last 5 years. Why can't you answer that question? Did you or did you not?
Hey, Jason,
knowing
if I
what
can
you
finish,
know now,
Jason, if I
want you to answer that question. Would you or would you not actually vote to convict, knowing what you know now? It's a simple question.
Yeah, Jason, you may go back and flagellate yourself over decisions in the past. I do not. I move on.
And that's precisely why Louisiana voters booted this embarrassing rhino moron out of office. No remorse, no reflection, no admission, just contempt. And make no mistake, that contempt isn't primarily for Trump. That contempt is for the people that has made his power possible. It's for his voters. Again, this is the key reason why rhinos are indeed becoming an endangered species. They inhabit a fundamentally different cultural space from their own voters. And so the gulf between the values that these establishment elites represent versus the values, the interests, and concerns of their voters just keeps getting wider and wider. And as a result, eventually, the primary elections reflect that. Case in point, look who came out from under his rock to express his profound disappointment with Louisiana voters. None other than Willard Mitt Romney, the former senator of Utah, who had to retire because the same humiliation was about to happen to him in his own primary. He literally delivered a eulogy over the weekend, claiming that Bill Cassidy's departure is a loss for the country. These guys are so narcissistic. They think so much. Has the country experienced loss since Willard Romney left the Senate? Name me one loss we've experienced. Nothing. These guys matter not one whit. History will never remember these guys. They mean nothing. So once again, Willard Romney can't help but express his disdain for the Republican voter. The voters of Louisiana, by a margin of 3-1, just told you that Bill Cassidy's departure is a win for them and their state and for the country. 3/4 of his own party's primary electorate said, we don't want you. And Mittens Romney's response is to tell those voters that they're wrong, that they're ignorant, to lecture them about Cassidy's brilliance and character and his principle. Oh, gosh, the principles. Principled conservatism. Principled conservatism just simply means that the other side of the aisle gives you the best stock takes half the time. It's called the uni-party, right? Remember, this is the same Mittens Romney who voted to convict Trump twice in his first impeachment. Romney was the only Republican who voted to convict him. Again, it was historic. Romney was the first senator in history from an impeached president's party to vote to convict him. And he did it again along with Cassidy in the second sham impeachment. And he then retired from the Senate rather than face his own voters. At least Cassidy was willing to face them. The irony of a man who escaped accountability by retreating, now eulogizing a man who ran and got destroyed. It's too rich to put into words. Now, I think it's important for us to note that what happened to Bill Cassidy is not just about one man in one state, obviously so. I mean, look at the entire gallery of Republicans who voted to impeach or convict Trump. Liz Cheney, right, who spent years obsessively trying to destroy a man rather than advance conservative policy. Adam Kinzinger, crying Adam, who became a CNN fixture, virtue signaling about principle while accomplishing absolutely nothing for the people of Illinois. Tom Tillis, who positioned himself as a moderate voice of reason while undermining the agenda his own voters sent him to advance. These are not people who disagreed with Trump on policy and then moved on to fight for conservatism through other means. These are people who, when they didn't get their way, when they got, frankly, crushed by Trump, they decided to frustrate, obstruct, and actively sabotage the very agenda they once claimed to support. And that means that in light of this latest crushing defeat for an obstructionist Republican, all eyes are now on the state of Kentucky and Thomas Massie, who faces voters this Tuesday, tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss this. While Trump unleashes a political reckoning, there is another crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form, even in the comfort of our own homes. I'm talking about the microplastic epidemic. Now, you may have heard about this, but this is pretty shocking stuff. Check this out.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics wash ashore all over the world every day. And now for the first time, scientists in the Netherlands have detected microplastic pollution in human blood.
All the microplastics and nanoplastics we are exposed to, we inhale and we ingest, that actually, there's so much plastic that it can even enter our bloodstream.
The Dutch study on blood samples from healthy adults detected tiny plastic particles in 80% of people.
That's right. There's a microplastic crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form. They're in our food, our water, our meats, our proteins. In fact, according to a recent study, we now ingest 6 times more microplastics than in 1990. It's wreaking havoc on our health and on our organ functions, and unfortunately, no one is immune from this. But there is an amazing solution. There's a unique bacterial strain found only in kimchi that's been found to effectively degrade microplastics. In fact, traditional kimchi is one of the world's most powerful superfoods. But let's be honest, it's messy, it's strong smelling, and not exactly easy to eat every single day. So that's why our good friends over at Brightcore created Kimchi One. Now you can get all the benefits of premium fermented kimchi in convenient capsule form. No mess, no taste, no hassle. I've been taking Kimchi One every single day for months now, and gang, I love it. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants that help restore balance in your gut. People are seeing improvements in digestion, bloating, regularity, energy, metabolism. Studies show that kimchi even reduces the risk of obesity. Kimchi One is all natural, non-GMO, and 100% made right here in the USA. It's completely dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, so just anyone could take it. I personally love it, and I love knowing that I'm supporting my gut and overall health in one simple step. So if you've been looking for a way to boost your immune system and remove microplastic toxins from your body, this is it. You can get 25% off your order by going to the link below, or for an even better deal, give them a call. My friends at Brightcore would love to chat with you, and they're going to give you 50% off plus free shipping. Call them at 888-597-0233. The first 100 callers to order are going to get a free bottle of vitamin D3. Again, you only get that 50% off and free shipping when you give them a call. So once again, that number is 888-597-0233.
We got to get rid of this loser. This guy is bad. He's disloyal to the Republican Party. He's disloyal to the people of Kentucky. And most importantly, he is disloyal to the United States of America. And he's got to be voted out of office as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's President Trump taking on Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie, who's been perhaps the single most obstructionist force against the MAGA agenda and the whole of the Republican Party. Writing on Truth Social shortly after midnight, with the Cassidy defeat still fresh, Trump went after Massie, whose primary is tomorrow, Tuesday, and as usual, he didn't hold back. He called Massie, quote, the worst and most unreliable Republican congressman in the history of our country. He called him, quote, a major sleazebag. He directly connected Cassidy's fate to Massey's future, writing, quote, "This is the first time such a thing has ever happened to a sitting U.S. senator. That's what you get by voting to impeach an innocent man." So the message just couldn't be clearer. Louisiana was not a fluke. Louisiana was a template. Case in point, Trump is also going after Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert, a Republican he previously endorsed, because she showed up at a Massey campaign rally in Kentucky and expressed her support for him. Now, Trump posted on Truth Social asking if anyone was interested in running against weak-minded Lauren Boebert in Colorado's 4th Congressional District. And he stated flatly, quote, "If the right person came along, it would be my honor to withdraw that endorsement from her." Now, this is a perfect illustration of Donald Trump's entire political philosophy, what we might call his iron law of politics. Trump's approach to political discipline over his own party is remarkably simple. If you hit me, I will hit you back 10 times harder. You're gonna wish you never even thought about hitting me in the first place. That's it. That's the whole doctrine. That's how Trump maintains an iron grip over the Republican Party. This is how Trump is transforming the Republican Party. The political graveyard of anti-Trump Republicans is now a very, very crowded place. Of the 7 senators who voted to convict Trump in 2021, look at how this plays out. 5 of them are gone. Ben Sasse of Nebraska, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Mitt Romney of Utah, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, now Cassidy, they're all gone. They're just dropped one by one by one. And the House impeachment crowd, the Republicans who voted to impeach, or the 10 Republicans that voted to impeach Trump, led by the ultra-repulsive Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, they're all gone. They're gone. And Trump is president. They're gone, and Trump is the most powerful man in the world. That's the iron law of Trumpian politics. The pattern is undeniable. The Republican Party is not going back to what it was before. That milquetoast gentilism that sought to get along and go along with the Democrats. Remember, that Republican Party was forged at a time when the Democrats owned D.C. For 40 plus years. The congressional Democrats owned D.C. They owned D.C. The Republicans merely rented. So it didn't even matter if Republicans were in power. The status quo was you get along with the Democrats because they own that city. And that's how you got the birth of the rhino Republican. Trump is saying those days are over. We now own this city. D.C. is now MAGA territory. And we as a party are never again going to nominate the next Mitt Romney. We're never again going to return to the era of polite, mannerly losers who fight their own base harder than they fight the Democrats. That world is gone. Just ask the now former Senator Bill Cassidy. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless.